everybody. Unhappy Wednesday. Coming to you live back here in our humble abode. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio and part of the Green Legion Radio family. Thank you for joining us tonight from wherever you may be and whatever device you're using to stream us on YouTube. So please pull up a chair, turn up the volume, use the company dime if you're still stuck at work. Crack open a cold one if that's your thing on a Wednesday night, and let's try to have some fun as we put an end to day 3 of this week's hostage situation and look forward to tomorrow being Friday Eve. Lou Mancini and Keenan Harmon in the room. How are you guys? Did the show at the back porch last week. Had intended on doing that again tonight, and then I had a horrible night's sleep last night, and it's freaking cold out, and I just didn't feel like dealing with it. So we're home. Tonight we're going to talk. We're going to start off boner of the week, and then first topic are going to be college football. After that, we'll get into the birds. I kind of need to build myself to the birds conversation because, unfortunately, we have to discuss something that we really shouldn't have to discuss with the team winning like they are. So it's a little annoying, but we'll get through it. The college football end of things. I'm big into college ball, man. I know a lot of you guys are not, but I love it. And I love the fact that we have a 12-team playoff now. The 4-team playoff was stupid. It was never enough. They, when they first launched it, they set themselves up to be ridiculed, questioned every single year because they had 4 teams but 5 power conferences, which means you were screwing. Somebody was getting screwed every year, right? Then you want to throw in the SEC bias, and it was either the Big Ten, the Pac, the Big 12, ACC. Somebody was getting hosed every year. So now we've moved away from that. Now we're on to a 12-team format, which I am very excited for. I like the way it's put together. Obviously, there could always be some tweaks, but I really do. I love that we're up to 12 teams now. I don't think you need to go more than that. I know there's 140 or whatever the hell schools. I don't know that you need to go more than 12. I think 12 is a good number. And I like the format of it, which we'll go back over. We did this at the start of the college football season. I think we did it like week 2 or week 3 of college football. I kind of broke down how that was going to play out, what the playoff bracket was going to look like, all that kind of stuff. And I said we would go back over it when the time came. Well, the time is here, right? The actual bracket is released. We know the teams, we know the seeds, and we know when they're playing and who they will play, who the winners of the first round games will play thereafter. So once we get through the boner of the week, then we're going to move on to the 12-team playoff bracket, and then we'll get into the birds, and then, folks, we're going to call it a night. All right? So Lou Mancini is guessing that a recent collegiate hire is the boner of the week. No. Although I do think it's worth mentioning, for those of you that haven't seen it, it did just become official. Bill Belichick is going to be the next head coach for the North Carolina Tar Heels football team. Look, 72 years old. I don't know. I don't really know how he intends to keep pace with this. I honestly believe that the college football coach might be the most difficult job in all of sports at this point because you're constantly having to recruit, which you always had to do. But now there's all the NIL money and all this other stuff you have to contend with. Not only are you having to recruit to get guys to come in, but you are now also having to constantly continue basically recruiting players that are already on your roster to stop them from going into the transfer portal for some NIL deal at another school. So and Bill is 72 years old. Now, I don't know if he's trying to position himself to be in a spot where he can set his son up to be his successor. And maybe that's got something to do with this. What I do think is a little hysterical, and not so much boner of the week material, but let's be honest here. Bill Belichick is basically dating a girl who is, just out of college. And now he's going to be a collegiate head coach. I mean, look, my boss at work is from North Carolina. He's a huge Heels fan, more basketball, as most Heels fans are, but does love the football team as well. I can't wait till tomorrow to give him shit. I've been waiting for it to become official so I can give him shit. Look at you get Bill Belichick banging his way through every sorority house on Chapel Hill, one blue pill at a time. Like, come on, dude. So there's a little bit of fun to be had there, but not boner of the week. It's a good guess, Lou, but that's not where I was going this week. If you guys have any other guesses, go ahead and spout them out while I get to the business of things here. Everyone, we are sponsored by Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia, just minutes away from the sports complex. Cheerleaders brings you the area's most beautiful women on 5 different stages. Open 7 days a week from noon until 2 a.m. and until 4 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. For group information, call 215-467-1980 to reserve a private booth and or party package. Also offering free parking, a full menu, daily drink and food specials, and a premium selection of cigars and a cigar lounge. If you're looking for a place to watch your favorite sporting event, head on out to Cheerleaders and enjoy the 75-foot HD TV wall, as well as HD TV screens throughout the entire club. Once again, folks, that's Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia. Call 215-467-1980 for all of your group, private, and party packages. Folks, if you're tuning in, well, folks, you can only be tuning in on YouTube right now. But even though that's the only service where we're currently streaming, we have our other social media channels, be it Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever the case may be. So please, head on out, get on your social media pages, search the Green Legion, like, follow, share, subscribe. We want to flood the interwebs always with the Green Legion and with Green Legion Radio. Day in and day out. All right. David Conant joins the room. Steve Cohen, boner of the week. No. I get it. Look, the Juan Soto sighting, I totally understand. Dave, we talked yesterday. The way I broke it down is that I would rather shit in my hands and clap than give someone who is basically a two-tool baseball player 15 years at $51 million a season. No thanks. And actually, if you really want to look at it right, if you keep him the entire 15 years, he's got an opt-out after year 5, which the club can then opt him back in, but it also increases the salary by $5 million per year for the final 10 years of the contract. So $765 million becomes $805 million. Again, shit in my hands and clap. The Yankees have responded by going out and signing Max Fried, 8 years, $218 million. I like the average annual value. I'm not crazy about the 8 years, especially for a guy that has been somewhat injury prone. But I do know that there were other suitors, one of them being the Boston Red Sox. So the 8th year, I guess, became necessary. And the Yankees had to go get a pitcher. And I don't think they should stop there. But that's just me. We'll get into baseball down the road a little bit. Not time and place for it right now. The Juan Soto thing is worth covering because I think it's a massive mistake on his part. And I do think the Mets are going to regret that signing long term. So that's just my opinion. When I called him a two-tool baseball player, 5 tools, hit for average, hit for power, glove, throw, run, right? He possesses two of those things. He can hit for average and he can hit for power. He does not have a good glove. He is not fast, and he has no arm. So he just gave this guy the biggest contract in all of sports history to basically be better served as a designated hitter. To me, that sounds ridiculous. But I do get it a little bit more from a Mets standpoint. Steve Cohen kind of needed to put a notch in his belt. Hey, he can walk around saying he stole them from the Yankees, all that kind of stuff. Was not just the money. Apparently, there was a private suite thing involved. I'm sure we'll get more details on additional incentives as it becomes available, as the info becomes available. Sounds a whole hell of a lot like the Russell Wilson contract in Denver, which I am thankful to say the Yankees did not go that far. I was disappointed to hear that the Yankees actually went and were offering 16 years, $760 million. I was not happy that that was even an offer. But ultimately, he goes to Queens. Good luck. You don't have Aaron Judge protecting you in the order anymore. So while you are one of the league's best hitters, but for sure, it always helps to have the league's best power hitter and also one of the league's best overall hitters hitting behind you. Now, Judge will suffer from that as well because he doesn't have Soto in front of him. But Judge has put up monstrous years without Soto before, playing in Yankee Stadium. And there's another part of it. Soto doesn't have that short porch in right field anymore. Citi Field is not exactly a hitter-friendly ballpark. So I could go on and on about this for days. So, but right now we're keeping it football. And we are going to move to the boner of the week. And this is also going to be football related. You guys were on the right track. It is going to be college football related, but not Bill Belichick. We cracked our little joke before about, him, scoping out the sorority houses based on his dating demographic. But no, for boner of the week purposes this week, and I so wish Fanny was in the room right now. So the theme for the first little while of the show here is the college football playoff. 12-team bracket was just released on Sunday, right? I'm sure everyone's seen that by now. Anyone who cared to look has seen that by now. The most notable team left out, you got it, Lou, the Alabama Crimson Tide. In my opinion, and this is just me, okay, I understand that they had, I think it was a 6-1 record against the AP Top 50 or whatever the hell. This is a Bama team that had 3 losses. Now, one of them is to Tennessee, who ended up in the playoff, right? But the other 2 are absolutely brutal losses. The first one to Bama, or to Vandy, for the first time in 40 years. Josh joins the room. What's up, bro? Low tide, no doubt. So they lose to Vanderbilt for the first time in 40 years, 40-ish years, whatever the hell the case may be. It was such a big event for Vanderbilt, the Vanderbilt fans and the students, that when the game was over, it was in Nashville at Vandy. When the game was over, they rushed the field. They pulled one of the goalposts out, and they walked it all the way down Broadway in Nashville and threw the damn thing into the Cumberland River. Which, look, some people hate the rushing the field thing, the goalpost thing, blah, blah, blah. I do think it's dangerous. It's probably not the best idea. But when something like that happens, Vanderbilt beating Alabama, I can't really blame them for the overreaction, to be honest with you. And for those of you that don't know, that is not a short walk down Broadway there. That is quite the trek. I'm going to actually pull it up here, and we'll tell you. I never actually looked. So I'm going to be a dork now, and I'm going to pull this up, and let's see here. Vanderbilt Football Stadium. Okay. So there's Vandy, right? And where do they have to go? Holy shit. Yeah, that's a long way, dude. Let's just run it. What's right down there on the corner? Isn't it Acme Feed and Seed? Yeah. So let's go directions from First Bake Stadium to Acme. Nope. Feed and Seed on Broadway. It is 2.5 to 3 miles. They're saying it's like a 50-minute walk to get it down there, and they threw it in the river. I thought it was hysterical. But anyways, so their other loss, Bama's other loss, was to an unranked Oklahoma. So Vanderbilt, right? They lose to Vandy for the first time in 40 years. Vanderbilt finished the year 6-6, 3-5 in the SEC, which was good for 12th in the conference. They're, and then they lose to number 7 Tennessee. I can't really knock them for that. But then they get ragdolled by Oklahoma, 24-3. This is a Sooner team that also finished 6-6, but was 2-6 in the SEC, 13th in the conference. This is not a team that deserved to get in the playoff. But it gets better. On the heels of that, so the playoff is announced, the playoff bracket's announced, Bama's out. Don't think I didn't enjoy that on Sunday. Right before, not long before our game kicked off, I got to enjoy that. What happens? Here comes Bama athletic director Greg Byrne, who is wearing the Boner of the Week hat this week. And he has the nerve to act surprised that they were left out of the playoff. Guys, girls, whoever listens now, is listening now or listens later, Alabama, the Tide have been surfing the conference strength, which in some seasons has been grossly overstated in my opinion. But they've been riding their conference schedule to support their national ranking for a very long time now. Greg Byrne has the nerve to come out, act surprised that they didn't make the playoff with those 3 losses, 2 of them being horrendous, and has the nerve to say they're going to have to, well, I guess we should evaluate our out-of-conference schedule. Oh, really, Greg? You think so? Do you really think so? Guys, this year, Bama's out-of-conference schedule was Mercer, South Florida, Western Kentucky, and a horrible Wisconsin team. In 2023, their out-of-conference schedule was Middle Tennessee, South Florida, Chattanooga, and Texas. The Texas one is legit. This is when Texas is still in the Big 12 big-time program. In 2022, it's Texas again. They did a home and home in 22 and 23. Utah State, Louisiana Monroe, and Austin Peay. And in 2021, it was New Mexico State, Southern Mississippi, Mercer again, and a bad Miami Hurricanes team. So that's 16 out-of-conference games over the last 4 years. 2 of them are against a legit opponent, both times against Texas. And you're going to come out and state, well, maybe we need to evaluate our out-of-conference schedule. No shit, Sherlock. Right? It's about time. Now, look, could you make an argument, and Dave, you and I talked a little bit about this, could you make an argument that a 3-loss Bama is still better than ACC runner-up Southern Methodist? Yeah, you can make that argument. But I believe that at some point the body of work has to account for something. And Bama had those 2 absolutely horrifying losses They also didn't play in their conference championship game, which the committee, based on the final playoff seeding, the committee told you that they valued that a lot more than I think they have in the past. So no, Greg Byrne, Alabama, out. And to say you need to evaluate your out-of-conference scheduling is the absolute understatement of the college football season. There you go, kids. Greg Byrne, your boner of the week. Who do we got here? Dave Conant should have picked the Ohio congressman who wants to make it a felony to plant the flag. I don't care about any of that. Skip missed a minute. Keenan Harmon. More about that crap. Lou Mancini. Next year, they can play Penn, Slippery Rock, Ball State, and Brown. This is what I'm talking about, though. Their out-of-conference schedule has been it's been like a sin. You know, they've been riding the coattails of how the committee values the rest of that conference for years now. I'll bet if I went back further, I would find even more pus on their out-of-conference schedule. I chose to only go back through 2021. I mean, I didn't want to sit here and just keep regurgitating the same shit, for a half an hour with this. But seriously, guys, girls, tell me if I'm wrong here. This is a disaster. You reap what you sow. You've been riding other teams' coattails for far too long to justify your ranking by beating up the little sisters of the poor. And this year, you dropped 3 games. One to a good Tennessee team. The other 2 to unranked, not good teams. One of which hasn't beat you in 40 years. Out. Yeah, go reevaluate. We'll see you in 2027. I still believe that program is going to start slowly going backwards the further they get removed from Nick Saban. All right. I'm not saying the new guy, I forget the guy's name, but I'm not saying he can't be a good head coach, but he's not Saban. And, the SEC, while I do think there's a bias and I do think they get overstated a bit much, they are still a fantastic conference with a lot of really good teams. And it won't take much for Bama to fall behind some of these other teams. Just a 1 or 2 step back from what Saban had is enough to push 2 or 3 more of those solid programs ahead of Alabama. So, and it's not going to surprise me if that's what they end up facing over the next few years. We'll find out. The further they get removed from Saban, the more we'll find out. Okay. Congressman. Dave Conant, is it Little Sisters of the Poor or is it Grandma? Jesus Christ. All right. I am going to put the link up here now in case anybody wants to pop in. But we're going to keep it college themed for just a little while longer before we get to the birds. Because the bracket is out. And, I want to share with you everything that we know to this point. Okay? I talked to you before, told you I am a fan of the 12-team bracket. I was not a fan of only 4 teams. I never thought it was enough. Now we're here at 12, and I do think this is the right number. I think you had a lot of wacky shit happen this year, and that caused a lot of chaos in the rankings and in the final seeding, which I am also a fan of. I am definitely a fan of the chaos. I want the committee to sweat. They were sweating leaving Alabama out because there was that chance they could have had that first-round matchup with Bama and Notre Dame, something like that, and or a Bama Ohio State. And, it just – when it all come down to it, Bama didn't deserve to be there. So, Breaker 19 hanging out by the beach with a Yingling. Love you too, brother. All right. So 12-team playoff bracket. This is how it breaks down for those of you who don't know. The 5 highest ranked conference champs are automatic bids. Okay? The top 4 conference champs get the first round bye. So, like I had said a couple of months ago when we went over this the first time, under this format, and another reason why I'm such a big fan of it, under this format, this means that Notre Dame, as an independent, can never get a bye under the current format. Right? Join a conference, or the highest they can ever be is the 5th seed. Tough shit. Tough shit. And it's going to be hard for them to get that because chances are they're going to lose a game and they could end up, look at Texas. Look at teams like that where you could end up with, like, say, a 1-loss Georgia team where their only loss was in their SEC championship game. Nobody's saying that can't happen next year. You're going to tell me that Notre Dame should be the 5 seed over a 1-loss SEC runner-up Georgia? No, probably not. So now maybe the highest Notre Dame ever gets right now is a 6 seed because they don't even have a conference championship to play in. And the committee, we're going to go through it here. The committee showed us that they valued the fact that you were in your conference championship. And I have 2 examples of that. And I'm going to give them to you in just a few minutes. So, 5 highest ranked conference champs are automatic bids. Top 4 conference champions get your buys. They're your 1 through 4 seed. The other 8 seeds, 5 through 12, are at large, one of them would be the 5th conference champ, and then you have 7 at large bids. And they match up just as you would imagine, right? So the 5 seed is home against the 12, 6 seed home against the 11, 7 seed home against the 10, and 8 seed home against the 9. The cool part about the first round, the higher seed gets the home game, right? Or they can play it in a stadium of their choosing. So, Penn State is going to get SMU in Happy Valley for that opening round, right? The winners of those opening round games move on to your quarterfinals versus the top 4 that had the buys. They do not reseed, okay? So they don't take, okay, here's who's left, let's rearrange them and then, pair them off against the top 4. That's not how it works. The winner of the 8-9 game plays the number 1 seed, all right? The winner of the 7-10 game plays the 2. The winner of the 6-11 game plays the 3. The winner of the 5-12 game plays the 4. Dave Connett and I, again, I'll reference him. We talked a bit yesterday. He asked me how I felt about it and if I thought they should reseed. I think there's always an argument for that. There's always, you could always look at that. But for me, this is the first year of this, so let's just roll with it. I don't overall have a problem with it because the current format sets it up so that if everything goes chalk, 8 beats 9, 7 beats 10, 6 beats 11, 5 beats 12, it ensures that the number 1 seed plays the lowest seed remaining. The only time that gets disrupted is if you have upsets. So again, the 1 seed will play the 8-9 winner. 2 seed will play the 7-10 winner. 3 seed will play the 6-11 winner. 4 seed will play the winner of the 5-12 matchup. Those quarterfinals will be New Year's 6 bowl games. This year, that's the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Eve, and then the Peach, Rose, and Sugar Bowls on New Year's Day. The semifinals will be the Orange Bowl on January 9th and the Cotton Bowl on January 10th, with the national championship being played on January 20th. That's how it breaks down. Okay? Now, we already know, so now the bracket is out. We know who these teams are. So here's how it's going to work. On Friday, December 20th at 8 p.m. on ABC, number 10, Indiana at number 7, Notre Dame, with the winner playing number 2, Georgia in the Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day at 8:45 p.m. on ESPN. This is your battle for Indiana, I guess. I love Connett's comment here. Hoosiers should have been number 1. Look, battle for Indiana. Look, I think Indiana's had obviously they've had a huge season by their standards. I think it's been a fun story, but I think it's a lot to think that Indiana is going to go and beat Notre Dame, especially in South Bend. Nighttime, primetime atmosphere up there. That's going to be tough. Don't get me wrong. I'm here for it, and I am rooting for the Hoosiers. I would love it. I just think it's going to be a pretty tall order to think that's going to happen. My assumption with this game is that Notre Dame will end up playing Georgia in the Sugar Bowl quarterfinal on New Year's Day at 8:45 p.m. That's what I think is going to happen. Number 11, SMU at number 6, Penn State. This is at noon on Saturday, December 21st on TNT. The winner will play number 3, Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl quarterfinal on New Year's Eve at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. So, I mean, look, there's some irony here for me. What is this kind of – what do you got here, bud? There was a time where independence made sense with all the super conferences, which I hate. There's no choice at this point. Yeah, but Notre Dame's should have been forced into a conference quite some time ago. Go Dogs. Gilmore. How did Penn State do, big bro? Well, they lost to the number 1 team in the country by 8 points. I can't be upset about that. If they had gone out and gotten destroyed, you might have something to laugh about. But that Penn State team gave Oregon all they can handle on Saturday night. I was pleasantly surprised. The defense was pretty much what I expected. They got carved up. Oregon's offense is really good. But I was pleasantly surprised by an offense that usually looks very pedestrian in big games, because I think Franklin tends to, pucker up. That didn't happen on Saturday night. They look good. Had Drew Aller been a little bit more crisp with his throws, who knows? But Oregon's number 1 for a reason. We only lost by 8 points. I can't be upset about it. Back to the game. So SMU at Penn State with the winner playing Boise. Now, there is some irony for me with this one. As I've been an advocate of Boise State, wanted to see them win the Mountain West Conference, wanted them to get their bye. I wanted them in there so that we could see that stud running back, Ashton Jeanty, on the national stage versus stronger opponents than what he's really faced in the Mountain West. And now here we are. If Penn State manages to beat SMU, it's going to be Penn State that has to go play against this kid. So, define irony. Here it is, right? If any of you haven't seen Ashton Jeanty or taken the time to watch him, the Heisman, the college football awards are this weekend, obviously highlighted by the Heisman Trophy. You've got Ashton Jeanty, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, and Dylan Gabriel are your finalists. I don't think it should really even be close. I think Ashton Jeanty is the runaway favorite. This kid's got just about 2,500 yards rushing on the season and 29 rushing touchdowns, 30 touchdowns total. I understand Travis Hunter is a freak athlete playing both sides of the ball. I know Cam Ward has had his moments as a quarterback. I know Dylan Gabriel has as well. Ashton Jeanty is putting up an historic season and deserves the credibility for it. Not to mention the fact that he's got Boise State in the first ever 12-team playoff, he's got them with a bye week. He's got them as the number 3 seed. If you took him off of that team, they're probably not even sniffing a playoff. If you took Travis Hunter off of Colorado, no, they're not going to be as good either, but they're already not in the playoff with him, right? Same can be said for Cam Ward with Miami. Dylan Gabriel's got an argument where if you remove him from Oregon, I don't know if Oregon's the number 1 seed. They probably still get in a playoff, though. What I'm trying to say is not only is he having a monstrous, thank you, Lou Mancini, monstrous video game type of numbers on the season, but I think he's the most important to his team of the 4 finalists. So there. Your third matchup, number 12 Clemson at number 5 Texas at 4. Well, look, dude, I expect Penn State to beat SMU. I do. All right, I expect us to be playing Boise, and then we'll see what happens. Number 12 Clemson at number 5 Texas at 4 p.m. on Saturday, December 21st on TNT. The winner will play Arizona State in the Peach Bowl quarterfinal on New Year's Day at 1 p.m. on ESPN. Clemson needed, they got out to a big lead on SMU, and then they had to hold on, and they needed a bit of fortune to get that, right? So SMU ties the game with 16 seconds to go. This is the ACC championship this past Saturday night. They tie the game, and SMU ties Clemson after being down big. The ensuing kickoff, Clemson takes it out to like the 50-yard line, right? It was just a terrible coverage. Then you get like a 10-yard completion or whatever the hell the breakdown was out of those 2 plays, followed by a 56-yard field goal for Clemson to win it. I can't stand Clemson. You guys that have been with me here for long enough, I am not a big Dabo Swinney fan. I'm not. I think he covers up a lot of dirty shit at his program down there, and I'm not trying to say he's the only one. A couple of years ago when we first launched this podcast, I talked a lot about some of the players and the connections to women being assaulted and stuff that were just really made you disgusted. I mean, we tied it all in to you can trace it right to Dabo with Deshaun Watson. But anyways, that's a subject for another time. I was not pleased that Clemson won, but now they're going to go up against number 5 Texas, who had a shot to be the number 2 overall seed, but lost their conference championship game to California Bulldogs. I think Texas wins this in an absolute landslide. I don't think Clemson belongs on the same field with Texas. I don't have a problem with Clemson being in as the 5th conference champion. Don't get me wrong. I think you're going to put them in, that team. I think they're seated right where they should be at the bottom. And I think Texas clobbers Clemson and goes on to play Arizona State in the Peach Bowl on New Year's Day. Now, probably the most interesting first-round matchup, you have number 9 Tennessee at number 8 Ohio State at 8 p.m. on Saturday, December 1st on ABC ESPN. Winner of which will play Oregon in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day at 5 p.m. on ESPN. Okay. This was the matchup that my good friend Chris dreaded. Chris is a massive, probably the biggest Ohio State fan I know. I poke the Bears sometimes, not that I have a whole lot of ground to stand on because I'm a Penn State fan and, Ohio State beats Penn State like a rented mule. But, I've been poking at him since the loss to Michigan a little bit. Just mostly about Ryan Day and how I do believe he's an overrated coach. I do believe that the Ohio State fan base kind of jumped on Ryan Day and were trying to build him up to be this great coach a little too quickly. And I think it's proven itself out that the further they've gotten removed from the Urban Meyer era, the team has, it's not nearly as potent. It's not nearly as good. the further they get removed from that. And I'm not trying to say they're not still an elite program. They're, now with Oregon in the Big Ten, things change a little bit, but they're still Ohio State's still one of the top programs in the entire country. They're going to get their recruits. They're going to do all these things. They're going to be in this playoff every single year. You can see that they are not, it's not Urban Meyer coaching there anymore, and it's very, very obvious. But be that as it may, this was the matchup that Chris dreaded. He really, he was saying his luck, he doesn't feel confident against Tennessee. For good reason. Tennessee's a pretty good team. I don't know which way this is going to go. Part of me would like to see Ohio State get another shot at Oregon because they only lost that game by 1. I don't think there was a clear advantage on either side there. And you'd get an SEC team knocked out in the first round, which would be cool. But then there's another part of me that would like to see Ohio State go down. And, just kick Ryan Day again before the season's over. On a side note here, and this is something my friend Chris asked me about or brought up to me, and I don't disagree with him at all. The committee did seem to put a lot of value, as I stated before, on making it to your conference championship games, whether you won it or not, okay? You could make the argument here that due to the head-to-head where Ohio State had beaten Penn State, that maybe Penn State should have been the one to drop to the 8 seed or the 7 seed or whatever, and Ohio State takes the 6 or the 7. You could have made that argument. Hey, Califoot, Dave Conant doesn't drink, so you're not getting anywhere with your freaking case of Yingling. I think that one has the potential to be the most thrilling matchup of the first round. I think it would be. I think the other 3 games could very easily be blowouts. I do. I think Notre Dame could absolutely trash Indiana. I do think Penn State could thump SMU, and I definitely think Texas is going to crush Clemson. But this Tennessee-Ohio State game has the opportunity to be a real nail-biter. Advantage Ohio State in Columbus. They'll be at the shoe. So that definitely helps. But I think that's got the chance to be a real dogfight. So those are your first round games, and I gave you who they'll play and when on their quarterfinal bowl games. The semifinals, again, like I said before, Orange Bowl on January 9th at 7:30, Cotton Bowl on January 10th at 7:30, National Championship on January 20th. The semis and the final are all on ESPN. All right. So there's your breakdown. The most common question that I've gotten is that the playoff seeds don't match the final top 25 rankings. And I can understand where that can look very confusing. So it's correct. They don't. And that's due to the top 4 seeds being conference champions and the top 5 conference champions getting automatic bids. Okay? So while Oregon and Georgia are number 1 and number 2 in both the playoff seeding and the final rankings, Boise is the number 3 seed in the playoff, but their final rank was 9th. Arizona State is the number 4 seed in the playoff, but their final rank was 12th. These are conference champions. Clemson is the number 12 seed as the 5th highest ranked conference champ, but their final top 25 ranking was 16th. Okay? So I understand where that can look confusing, but those are the reasons why. All right? It's because your top 5 conference champions are automatic bids, and the top 4 conference champions are automatic buys, which puts them 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the seeding. So, and look at it this way: as much as I don't like Clemson, Clemson winning that ACC championship is likely what eventually forced Alabama all the way out. As this is your other example of how the committee once again showed a lot of weight on being in your conference title game, because they kept SMU in the playoff as the number 11 seed, 10th overall in the final top 5 ranking, and kept Bama out. So you have 2 examples there of playing in your conference championship meaning something. Penn State ends up ranked 6th, despite the Big Ten championship loss, which was their second loss of the season. Keeps them ranked 2 spots higher than Ohio State, who had beaten Penn State head-to-head. So there is your college football breakdown. I'm going to post this fucking thing one more time here, and then we're going to get into the birds, and then we go and get out. And lo and behold, Breaker 19, what's going on, dude?
What's up, big guy? Hey,
doing,
Connor, I just wanted to say, dude, I apologize. Yeah, talking shit about the Georgia and, the Eagles. Yeah, I'm not talking to you, Gilmore. I'm talking to Connor. But,
yeah, I know.
It's all fun. Hey, Gilmore, what do you feel about this? I know you didn't go into the Eagles yet, but what do you feel about this A.J. Brown thing?
Well, that's what we're going to get into here.
Yeah. So, do you, and I've been watching ESPN and I've been watching, sports shows.
Question number 18.
Do you think Foles, are we asking too much on Foles? Dude, I've been drinking all day. Do you think we're asking too much on Hurts? Where, he's only, so the last time we went to the Super Bowl, and it's true, and I heard this stat today, he's only had 22 touchdowns, where this year he has 16. So I don't know, truthfully, is it Hurts? This might not be an A.J. Brown thing. This might be a Hurts thing. I don't know if he's going to be, if anybody, I think he's overrated. To be honest with you, I do. I
think the formula that we're using on offense is absolutely fine. Jalen Hurts has 20 to 25 pass attempts, 7 to 10 rushing attempts. That's the area of success. When he's got to throw the ball 30 times or more, we're not a good football team. We're 2-2 this season when he had to throw the ball 30 or more times. We're 9-0. We're 9-0 when he's thrown it 25 times or less. We're not asking too much of him.
So you're saying give the workload to Saquon?
Absolutely. I didn't pay him $40 million for no reason.
Okay. So
it's worked. That's been the formula during this winning streak.
Okay. So
the whole way through.
Let's look at the Lions right now. Okay. Are they all rushed? Yes, they have Montgomery and they have Gibbs. Okay, good. They also have Laporta. They also have St. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty much 50-50 if you look at it. They're not all rushed. Yes, when they get into the red zone, yes, I get that. When they get down there, it's all Montgomery and Gibbs. I get that. They're gonna run it right down your throat.
Yep.
They also pass the ball.
Yes,
where the Eagles look at Saquon like you just said, and feed him all the time. I'm telling you, Gilmore, and I love you. We're going downhill.
Up until the last couple of weeks, the passing numbers had been a bit up and down, yardage-wise, touchdown-wise. It was basically just throwing the ball when you needed to. We don't need to. Don't forget, it's not just Saquon running the ball. It's also Jalen. It's also Kenny Gainwell. We run the ball some 40 times a game. It's not all Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. So
that's kind of what I'm going to get into here. So, look, the first thing I'm going to say is the fact that this has to be a topic of conversation when we're on a 9-game winning streak and we're 11-2 is really fucking annoying. Okay? So I'm not annoyed at you or anybody else. I'm annoyed at the situation overall because this is not what we should be talking about. We should be talking about what are the Eagles going to do to beat Pittsburgh, not, A.J. Brown being upset about the pass game. Okay? Now, A.J. has kind of walked it back a little bit today, came out and said that this was not about Jalen Hurts. This was about the pass game overall. But the problem is the pass game overall is at least in part due to Jalen Hurts, right? You can't say the pass game needs help without at least some of that being about Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
So, look.
Yeah.
The first thing I'm going to say about this is that I am disappointed in Brandon Graham. Okay? First and foremost, I'm going to tell everyone here that I'm disappointed in I love Brandon Graham. Nothing's going to change there. But I am disappointed in BG because he should not have come out and said what he said. That kind of shit stays in the locker room, stays with the team, and you don't discuss it with the media. And a veteran like BG has to recognize that. Dave, you're going to have to do something about that background music. It's driving me nuts.
Then I'm going to have to leave you. I'm going to have to leave you then because maybe I can.
You're up at the bar?
Yeah, and I'm by the beach, so you know that. So.
Yeah, I get you.
How was that? We're not going to see me. I guess that's a good thing, but maybe. Is that better?
So, we can move to the elephant in the room. Look, here's the deal. There's no denying that the pass attack has slipped over the last few weeks. It had been up and down as needed. 200 and something yards one week, 179 the next. Dude, that background noise is too much.
I love you, Gilmore. I'll talk to you.
I love you too, man. You enjoy yourself down there, bro. Enjoy the beach.
I will. Thanks.
Later. All right. Yeah, I can't. The feedback, the noise is too much. Always enjoyed Dave dropping by, though. Look, and I know Josh, I know this is what you've been waiting for. Look, it has slipped over the last few weeks, and that's where the frustration is coming in. All right. His last 3 games, he had 179 yards passing against the Rams. That was the night that Saquon went for 255. I don't know how much you really want to knock Jalen for that. But in particular, the last 2 weeks is where it really starts to look like something may be wrong here. 118 passing yards against the Ravens, 108 against the Panthers. Okay? Now, in each of those 3 games, we were absolutely carried by Saquon Barkley, who went over 100 in all of them, including that 255 night in Atlanta, or in LA, which I am thrilled to say that I was there. Now, like I said, overall, the passing yards have been up and down a bit all year, basically just doing what was needed on a particular game day. You know Jalen Hurts. You know how this offense is. They really, to this point, haven't been about it's got to be this way or that way. It's how do we get the victory? But there's got to be some balance. And these last couple of weeks have been bad. The recent trend in these last 2 weeks, a little bit alarming. So Carolina, only 12th in the league in yards allowed, but consider the fact that Carolina is almost always down in the second half of games or late in games where the other team is just trying to run the clock out. Not throwing a whole lot, right? So the Carolina passing yardage given up is a little skewed based on that. Dig a little deeper, and they're 30th in quarterback rating allowed at 102.9, and they're tied for 30th in touchdown passes allowed with 24. This is not a good pass defense, okay? Then you take a look at Baltimore, dead last in passing yards allowed as it stands right now, 3,687, and they've only given up 1 fewer passing touchdown than the Panthers with 23. So where does the blame go? Well, look, some of it has to go on Jalen, all right? You can't, it's like I was saying the day before, and Califoot, Hurts might not be the man. Sorry, guys, I don't have control. Yeah, dude, don't apologize for that. You're out at the beach having a good time. Ain't nobody gonna fault you for that, bro. Enjoy that shit. I would be. But you can't. So AJ walks it back a little bit today, and he says that it was not directed just at Jalen, but at the pass attack overall. Well, that's fine, except for the fact that the pass attack also has to include Jalen Hurts. So where does all this blame go? It does. Jalen's got to wear some of it, okay? He's not consistently seeing the open receivers and or maybe just not anticipating where those windows are where they'll be open. To my friend Josh's credit, during the Monday night game, you saw Joe Burrow throw a touchdown pass to Jamar Chase, okay? Burrow is throwing that ball. Chase's back is to the play, okay? That throw is already out of his hands before Jamar is even into his break, and it's an out route going towards the pylon. And Josh right away, we need Jalen to do that. You're not entirely wrong, dude. And you would think after a few years, constant working with an A.J. Brown, with a Devontae Smith, that you'd have some of that. I don't know that we're ever going to get exactly that. Keep in mind, Jamar and Burrow have been together for quite a long time now, including that final year at LSU. But he's not consistently seeing those receivers, or he's not seeing the window that they're about to run into. And he's just not, for whatever reason, he's not consistently seeing it, okay? He is still struggling to read the middle of the field. When you can see some of these views where it's from behind the quarterback looking out, it's really kind of damning on Jalen because you can see the receivers crossing in the middle there. And again, it goes back to the first bullet point. He's either not seeing the receiver standing there wide open, or for some reason he's missing that window that the guy's going to run in, that the receiver's going to run into and be open. Bigger problem with when you combine those things is it's forcing him to not make quick enough decisions. He ends up taking unnecessary hits, unnecessary sacks, and losing yardage and negative plays, right? End up behind the sticks. These are things that Jalen Hurts has to own and get better at on a consistent. I'm not saying he never does it. I'm saying he doesn't do it consistently. All right. And over these last couple of weeks, it's been pretty rough. All right. Against two pass defenses that are not good. I would also say, so now let's move past Jalen here. It's not just Jalen, okay? We're 13 games into the season. There's plenty of film on us. I think we need to maybe add a few new wrinkles to the pass attack to give the defenses a different look, okay? Help Jalen out a little bit with that. So Jalen had Smith. Yeah, but then he went to Oklahoma, and it wasn't all the way. Yeah, that's not quite the same, but I get where you're going with it, dude. And really, by this point, you'd think they'd have a little bit better chemistry. Keenan, face it, Hurts will never be Patrick Mahomes. We don't need him to be. If a Ravens team can grab a Lombardi, yeah, I agree with you, Keenan. I do. Josh, again, we have time to work stuff out for playoffs. Wide receiver captain had every right to call out the shortcomings in the pass game. I agree. I don't have a problem with what AJ said. I don't. I have a bigger problem with BG going public with it. Or BG blowing it up to the media as if it was a rift between AJ and Jalen. That's my problem with that whole thing. So overall, like I said to Califoot before, I think the formula is correct. 20 to 25 pass attempts, 7 to 10 rushing attempts. I think that's Jalen's sweet spot. And to be honest with you, that's what we've been doing for the most part during a 9-game winning streak. Okay? These last couple of weeks, he's not looked nearly as good. So we need to tweak some things. All right? I am concerned about how long he holds on to the ball going up against the Pittsburgh team, who, while their overall pass defense isn't great, they absolutely scare me to death with their pass rush, anchored by that maniac TJ Watt. Jalen's going to have to get the ball out quicker this week. That should be the number one thing they're working on all week long. How the hell can we get you to get the ball out of your hands quicker? Because you're not going to have the time against Pittsburgh. I love our offensive line. That Pittsburgh pass rush is going to get home on him. Carolina was getting home on him. All right? If you think Pittsburgh's not, you got a problem. All right. So 20 to 25 pass attempts, 7 to 10 rushing attempts. What we need is Jalen to maximize the output in those attempts because it's not a lot. And this is where A.J. Brown gets frustrated. All right. When he's only seeing 20 to 25 pass attempts and now our completion percentage is, 15 of 20. Now you're only getting 15 completions. There's not a whole lot of eating going on. And sooner or later, one of these defenses is going to bottle up Saquon Barkley, guys. It's going to happen. And we're going to have to figure out a way to win the game with Jalen. I thought it was going to happen against Baltimore. It didn't. It may very well happen Sunday afternoon. Now, that's my opinion of things that need to happen there. Josh, what's a winning streak if you get to the playoffs just to lose because we can't get a run game going? You can't keep thinking that negative, dude. We did run it down Baltimore's throat. Baltimore came in with a very good run defense. We'll see what happens this weekend. But yeah, look, man, it's the truth. Jalen Hurts is going to have to win us a game or two. Now, what I will tell you is, as rough as that game looked, it's also very possible that this team was, in fact, looking past Carolina. However, I would like to read something off to you as far as Jalen goes here. When we were trailing against the Panthers, and I can't even believe I just uttered that sentence, Jalen Hurts was 10 of 13, 71 passing yards, 58 rushing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown. How bad was he really? Bad enough. I guess it was inconsistent enough to put us in that spot in the first place, but he was also able to get us out. Okay? Mancini says Smith is frustrated as well. Yeah, I'm sure they are. I would tell you Jalen's probably frustrated. He just doesn't show it. I honestly wish he would show a little bit more emotion. I wouldn't think he's a freaking robot. But now, one other question I am going to ask about this team, and I want your guys' opinion, okay? So please chime in. We absolutely suck in the first quarter of football games. Suitor in the room. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Remember, Lane Johnson went to Sirianni at the bye week and suggested run the ball. But yeah, the whole offensive line did, dude. Yep. They were look, we needed to run the ball more. 20 to 25 passing attempts, 40 to 45 rushing attempts. This is the formula for victory for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's it. And yes, you can win championships that way. You do have to be more efficient when you are throwing the ball, though. And Jalen, despite the stats I just read you, part of the reason why he had to do those things is because we were trailing, and he was a part of the reason why. So, consistency. 20 to 25 pass attempts, I need consistency out of that. You don't have to be a superstar. Give me 250 to 300 total yards, passing and rushing. Somewhere between 200 and 300. And 2 touchdowns. The run game and the defense will take care of the rest. I don't need to blow you out on the scoreboard. I just need to blow you out stat-wise and time of possession-wise. Final question. Like I said, we absolutely suck in the first quarter. It's been this way all season. We know that in the NFL, the first quarter stuff offensively is usually scripted. All right? So who in the blue hell on the Eagles coaching staff has their fingerprints on that first quarter script is what I want to know. Is it Kellen Moore? Is it a committee? Is this an area where Nick is once again reaching too far into the cookie jar? We don't know. all I can tell you is that whatever script they're using in the first quarter sucks because we don't score shit. And to be honest with you, we can bash Jalen and all this stuff all we want. But the bottom line is sooner or later, you're going to come up against good teams and you're going to have to score points in the first quarter. And that does not fall entirely on Jalen Hurts. It just doesn't. I can look. I can tell you with 100% certainty that if I had the opportunity to ask questions at press conferences to this coaching staff, that first quarter script would be at or near the top of my list of questions. I can tell you it would certainly be way ahead of any kind of questions people have about some supposed rift between AJ and Jalen. That's it. Look, guys, girls, we're 11-2. If we beat Pittsburgh on Sunday and the Saints with Benny the Schnoz DiNucci somehow pull an upset over Washington, we'll end up clinching the division this weekend. If we beat Pittsburgh this weekend and beat Washington next weekend, we'll clinch the division. We're still within earshot of the number 1 seed in the NFC, although it's going to be tough. We're going to need Buffalo to give us some help. Is everything perfect? No, of course not. It's a long season. Adjustments need to be made that benefit the team, not just one guy's personal stats. Okay? Carolina game was a rough watch. No question about it. I called it a trap game last week. It may very well have just been that. Okay? I would prefer to chalk it up to that and think positive. I'm not a kumbaya guy. I'm not over here roasting fucking marshmallows in my kitchen. But I prefer to chalk it up to that, think positive, focus all your energy on Pittsburgh. Because like I said, with a win this weekend and a win next weekend, the division is ours. Right? Forget about rushing stats. Forget about passing stats. Forget about record books. Anybody want to tell me the 2 most important numbers? The fucking score. That's the most important. How much did you score and how much did you give up? Those are the 2 most important numbers in any game. And right now, we are 8th in the league in points per game scored at 26.3. And we're 2nd in the league in points per game allowed with 18. Do that against Pittsburgh, and we're heading to Washington looking to clinch the division. That's it. It's that simple. All right. Josh Sirianni has to do something right. Well, I hope for his sake it's not him with that first quarter script because that would be an ultra bad look. But it does, I don't know. Like I said, if I was allowed to ask questions at a press conference, that'd be the first one I would ask. Who's writing that script? I'm sure I'd get the runaround. Oh, it's a collaborative, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Fix it, because right now it sucks. Califoot. Fuck the Steelers. Everyone tell Ruth the Steelers suck. Please, messages are welcome. Nice. Keenan Harmon. The main thing is the main thing. Let's keep winning. That's it. I called it out. Jalen's got work to do. I think the coaching staff has work to do as well. Right? When you look at a passing attack, it's not just the quarterback. It's also scheme. Now, Jalen's got to go execute. We called that out first. But the scheme has to, we got to help him out a little. All right? That's all I got for this week. Let's hope next week we're sitting here talking about heading to Washington to wrap up the division. Or even better would be if we're sitting here next week already having wrapped up said division with a win over Pittsburgh and an abysmal Washington loss to the freaking Saints, which I don't think is going to happen, but one can dream, right? We'd also like to see Detroit lose to Buffalo, right? Pissed off Buffalo team after having put up 42 points and losing to the Rams. So come on back again next week. Hopefully we've got some adjustments in the pass attack. Hopefully Jalen looks a little better. The last thing in the world we need to see is them go past happy and screw up the space-time continuum here. Don't screw up the formula just because there's noise around the pass attack. 20 to 25 attempts, 7 to 10 rushing attempts. The rest of it goes on Saquon, Gainwell, Shipley for a couple of carries, whatever. That's it. 20 to 25 passing attempts, 40 to 45 total rushing attempts between Jalen, Saquon, Gainwell, whatever end arounds you want to do, Shipley. That's the formula. Don't screw it up just because there's people out here chirping. Nobody gives a shit what they think. All right. Come on back again next week. We'll try to keep having some fun. Till then, folks, this has been the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio, part of the Green Legion Radio family, proudly brought to you by the beautiful women at Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia. Call 215-467-1980 for all of your group and party packages. Guys, girls, kids, they, thems. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the upcoming weekend. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Remember, the judge is not back in until Monday. And as always, folks, go Birds. All right, kids, that's going to do it. I am out of here. Take care. We love you.